Hey everybody, Ryan here. Welcome to Music City Live. Welcome to this episode. I'm here with Jay Panaseiko.
Jay, how you doing, Ryan?
Good, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Dude, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Jay is the creative mind at Studio 73 Digital Media, which is your company, right?
That's my company, yeah.
What do you do there?
Well, I do marketing, advertising, promotions, websites, commercials.
Okay.
Basically, well, as my name's Jay, some people have said a Jay of all trades. I can get the whole project done if you need. So that's basically what I do. A little bit of everything.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get into more about that later. So obviously this is going to be an interesting episode, everybody. We got a lot of media to show you, more than probably any other episode I've had, which is fantastic. And Jay's brought a ton of memorabilia and stuff to do with your dad, right?
Yeah.
So Jay's dad was Nick Panaseiko, legendary Canadian promoter. And I'll be perfectly 100% honest, until I saw all the media coverage, I didn't realize that was your dad. And I didn't realize, because I'd seen photos of him in the past.
Right.
But I didn't realize it was your dad. And I didn't realize the London connection either, because I didn't attend the year that he won his Lifetime Achievement Award. I didn't go that year. So I didn't know about all that. But after the fact, after I saw it on your socials and everything, I started doing all the research, and I was like, wow, I got to get Jay on, man.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, yeah, my dad was a legend, a London legend. I mean, they called him London's Music Man.
Yeah. I saw something. Was it the media? Or somebody started calling him Promo Man.
Promo Man is
it's his book.
The title of the book, right?
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Where did that title come from?
Well, obviously that's what he was, a promo man, right?
Yeah,
so he called it Promo Man Backstage Tales from the Vinyl Jungle. Now, the Studio 73 designed the logo for the Promo Man book.
That's cool. Sweet. So your dad, I guess we can talk about you and your dad. I mean, you're from here. Are you from town originally?
Yeah, I was born in London.
Okay.
I was born on Langar Street.
Okay.
Went to public school here, St. Albert's, Holy Rosary, Princess Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And then South for grade 9.
Cool.
And then sometime around grade 9, in this time, my parents had divorced and then got back together.
Okay.
And we wound up moving to Ingersoll, which is where I'm at now.
Okay.
So but my mom was from Ingersoll. So
got it. Okay. So now I'm understanding the Ingersoll connection.
right. And my dad grew up on Langarth and Gladstone.
Okay. Sweet. So dad was from London.
Well, dad was from London, but he was born in Kassel, Germany, in a refugee camp. As as my Baba and my Dido were coming across. My Baba worked in a German concentration camp, and my grandpa was a fireman with the Ukrainian army. And I believe he got some shrapnel in his leg, and that kind of ended that. And they were fleeing the war, and they came across, and wound up in London.
Wow, that's wild. And so why did your dad pick becoming a promoter? Like, do you know how that all got started?
I think, to be totally honest, my dad. I think he was a risk taker. I think he just loved the freedom of life, right? And I'm pretty sure him, my godfather John Vanderslaan, and John Rowlands, who we all know is the very famous photographer.
Yeah.
They all dropped out of school, got in a Volkswagen Bug, I believe, and took off for Florida on an adventure.
Oh wow!
Right? You know, so they were those guys.
Crazy things can happen.
They were those guys, right? So they just hit the road, right? And, I think that's where it all kind of began, and I know, like, one of the first things, I believe there's a picture that we have. My dad, he's in Wayne Newton's dressing room.
Okay.
And somehow I think he, just walked into the place and found himself in Wayne Newton's dressing room. You know what I mean? Like,
that's awesome.
Not planned.
That's amazing.
So, and then, from what I hear, just he was working. My dad went to, or he ran a newspaper a little bit with CCH, I guess it would have been. And he brought the Supremes to London when he was 16 years old.
Wow.
And the story goes, the band couldn't read sheet music.
Oh, really?
So they lip-synced.
for
that concert because the show's got to go on, right? So
yeah.
They had, anyways, whatever happened, basically they never actually sang. They lip synced that night.
Wow. How did your dad, like, how would, at 16, like, I mean, the average 16-year-old can barely tie their shoes. Like, how did your dad contact the Supremes and hire them for a show in London, Ontario?
Yeah, and especially without social media, without all that.
Well, any of it, yeah.
Any of it. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure how that came about. I think it's in the book.
Yeah.
Right? It's in the book, so.
Okay. All right. So your dad, I noted obviously 3 names, but we'll get into, you'll try and cover as many names as we can.
Sure.
But your dad, there was some media coverage and they sort of covered the kind of the, I wouldn't call them the big 3, but big 3 in terms of popularity for sure, would have been Rolling Stones, Kiss, and Queen.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Actually, I think also they had Liberace in there because if you ask my dad who his most favorite celebrity that he worked with, he said was Liberace. He said Liberace treated him like gold. It was just he had nothing but respect for Liberace because obviously dealing with celebrities or whatever. Not all of them are whatever is easy to work with.
Go to the
Random, I think, is where Liberace is.
Yeah, it's the 3rd one. That one.
Yeah.
Yep. There he is.
Yeah.
That's him.
That's him.
Wow.
Yeah. So
to Nick, your pal. That's awesome.
Yeah.
1977.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's who my dad. If you asked him who his most favorite person to work with was, he'd say Liberace.
That's cool. And you know what's funny? Your dad, I mean, obviously your dad, I think from seeing all the photos, like he has these quintessential glasses, obviously. But the look your dad had going that day, it sort of fits with Liberace there, right? With the white suit. And
he was always ahead of his time in fashion. And actually, I don't know whether I got a bit from him, but there is a shirt that I have the same one, and I bought him one in Taiwan.
Okay.
And when I brought it home and gave it to him, and I went back to Taiwan, he wound up doing an FM 96 interview, and everyone was saying how good this shirt was. But I just bought him a clone of the one that I bought him, right? You know what I mean? So funny. I do wear glasses, but not that big.
Yeah.
And I don't do well with a mustache, I don't think.
Yeah.
But he always was rocking a mustache and the big glasses.
Yeah, it suits him, man, especially for that time. I mean, great looking dude for that time. Like you said, ahead of himself in the fashion world, maybe, but look great there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I rocked a mustache for a while, but my mother drove my mother insane. It kind of made me look like my dad from the 70s, made her feel old.
Yeah. Okay.
So it lasted for a while, but then it kind of went away. But yeah, that's cool. So your dad, started, so going back, so 16 years old, going to school in London, hires the Supremes, brings them in. But how does he go from, like, what was, I guess 2 questions. I guess, how does he go from that to, we'll start there. How does he go from that to sort of, coming out of high school and then, picking this as a career? Did he ever explain any of that to you?
Well, I believe what happened was after like the Supreme show and that, and obviously drawing on that success, people in Toronto had heard out about it.
Really?
So that's where he got a job.
Again, without social media, that people have to understand. Like for people in Toronto to hear about that happening
rotary
in London,
phones, where the cord you couldn't get away from the wall, right?
Yeah.
You could only go 2 feet. My dad would sit on the kitchen counter at my grandparents' place with his legs up on the thing, just with his back against the wall on the phone all the time, right?
Wow.
So yeah, he wound up, I believe, getting a job, and I'm trying to remember which record company it would have been first, but it may have been WEA. Because he worked for Quality, WEA, Warner Brothers, Decca.
Wow.
He even had some of his own record labels later on in life, like Lowdown is on one of my dad with Doug Vardy. Is on one of my dad's record labels. He had a record label called Judy J Records. I forget what the Lowdown. Maybe Lowdown is on Judy J, the one release.
Oh, that's cool. So did your dad, like when your dad went and started working for the labels, did your dad have any major knowledge, like education, anything? Like what was
he did not, like, basically, like, yeah, I think somehow it was just inside him.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Like it's like in I think it's in our DNA because now years later I find myself doing some very similar things to him.
Sure.
And, you'll find out, I guess, probably as we talk, there was periods of time where I didn't see him because he was living in Toronto and only coming home on the weekends. And when he was back on the weekends, he always had things to do as well. So, sometimes my time with him was, here's $20. I'll leave you at the record store for a couple hours and I'll be back. Right.
Right.
I'd be in the disc shop with Fred Smith starting at A. That was pretty much, I was left unsupervised. You'll find out through some of these stories,
Yeah.
which was good. But I mean, I think it was in his DNA. I think he was just one of those people and that, yeah, maybe the universe, his calling.
So your dad, I know you've been doing a lot of press about this. Your dad recently passed, right?
Yes, he passed with Parkinson's. I believe it was, I'm trying to think, 2005, 2000. It was sometime around 2012. I got a phone call. I was living in Taiwan teaching English at the time.
Okay.
And, that he'd been diagnosed with Parkinson's. Because I believe when he came to see me in about 2015, I took him to the top Parkinson's research clinic there and whatever, right? And it's a terrible, terrible disease. I mean, his, just in the last couple of weeks, like his brain was totally there. He like, that wasn't a problem. He had a little bit of freezing and stuff, but his body just stopped working. He was having trouble standing up, and so he chose to go out on his terms, right? And
Wow.
Like I said, that was a little bit weird because for a week we knew the day and the time that he was gonna. I'm gonna quote Sass Jordan here right now, or Rush, exit stage left, right? I actually, that's why I said, like, Dad, you got your last backstage pass. I'll see you after the show, which is what he used to say to me when he gave me my backstage passes at the shows, right?
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people who have been affected by Parkinson's, and I can understand why your dad wanted to go out on his own terms.
I mean, you look at someone like Michael J. Fox, right? Now, obviously, he probably has 24-hour care, and this is actually, I'd love to do this, a shout out to my brother Craig Shoebottom. I have a half brother, and he was the one my dad was been living with for the last 4 years, and meant so much respect for him. He looked after my dad every day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's big. That's big, man.
Because I couldn't do it. I was in Ingersoll. So much respect to you, Craig.
Yeah, man. 100%. It takes a lot to be the caregiver of someone, man. I watched my grandmother go through it recently with my grandfather.
Yeah.
He passed away last summer, but it took her down, man. I mean, and because she's an older lady, so I imagine your brother's obviously closer to your age, right?
He's I believe he'd be 57, maybe.
Yeah. It takes a lot out of you.
But yeah, he was 7 days a week, not really able to leave my dad on his own, right?
Yeah.
And, get him up in the morning, get him to the kitchen table, right?
Yeah.
Put him to bed every night, right? In the last 5 weeks, I got to do some of that, and it was heartbreaking. So, I feel my dad's obviously maybe not the place everybody wants him, but he's in a better place. He's not suffering, and to me that means the world to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, you know what? I mean, he had an insanely awesome life, man. I mean, a life that some people only dream about, some people would kill for, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. The stories that like the book here, and it's available on Amazon. You can get it. Promo Man. It doesn't even touch. Like, it's a drop in the water of
course,
everything that he did, right?
Of course.
It's out of control.
Well, and like you said, there's some, we were talking before that we started, and there's some things that you wish you had photos of that you don't. Can you imagine all of the things that there, that there aren't photos of him? Like, I mean, I can't even imagine. Like the people that he was with, I mean, there's something happening, like something crazy happening every minute with those people.
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, like that just happened to be when the photographer got to go click. Right? What happened when the photographer had his back turned? Sure. Right? There'd be a fly on the wall.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine. Like and so it makes sense why your dad did it. He got a taste of it obviously when he was super young. and then, why he did it, why he stuck with it. I'm sure it was a wild ride, man. I'm sure it was so much fun.
Oh yeah.
You know?
No, for sure. My dad definitely had a lot of fun. That's for sure.
And I mean, you know what? I think that's, I bring that up because I think, your dad probably he stopped having fun. I mean, when you get to that point, you can't stand up.
Well, we talked about a nursing home, right? We talked about it. And he's like, Jay, what am I going to do in there? I'm like, he doesn't play cards. He doesn't play bingo, right? Like, what's he going to do in there? Who's he going to talk to, right? Like, how are you just going to sit up beside someone? Hey, I was hanging out with the Rolling Stones. What do you do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. And so that's interesting, man. I didn't know until just before we started filming that your dad went out on his own terms, but I respect that a lot, man. I mean,
yeah, so do I. I mean, like I said, he always did his things his way the whole way through, right?
Sure.
I will say, he chose his career more than his family. But that's sometimes you get to get that successful.
Yeah.
It was a 24-hour day job, right? I quoted him today on the radio. I was like, we doze but never close, right? And I haven't been getting a lot of sleep lately myself because I'm so busy working. So I find I'm starting to realize all the things that he said to me.
Interesting.
Because when you're younger, you don't want to listen to it, right? You're rebellious, right? And,
absolutely.
It caused, some. We were so much alike, we butted heads a lot, right?
Absolutely.
And I think he was trying to keep me out of the biz because, not that it wasn't fun, but it's not an easy life. Vollmer tells me all that from Helix. He's like, it's not for the faint. If you want to be in this business, right? You got to be all in.
Yeah, you do. And sometimes, more all in than you think you're going to be.
Yeah.
Some of these guys that go into it, I know several even young guys right now, one of which I've had on the show not that long ago, whose marriage, and he has a kid, and his marriage is done.
Yeah,
and
it puts a lot of stress on.
It puts a lot of stress on.
Because while my dad was working for all the record labels, he had an apartment down in Toronto. And he would come home on the weekend and, obviously taking bands out and getting them to radio interviews and making sure they get fed and taking them to the bar and hobnobbing and doing all that. It burns you out. So by the time he got home, mom would be like, hey, why don't you play with your son? I'm tired. You know what I mean? Like, we did do a lot of cool stuff, but there was a lot of that in the younger years. My mom, we look back on it now, there was good times, there was bad times. And I think that's with every family.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
But I kind of see it now because I know how burnt out I get sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was in my early days, my dad was working all the time. All the time. There was a period of time where my dad, he ended up having to go and, because our family, there was a recession and, my dad had some issues with the recession. And so, he ended up everybody got laid off and, my dad was working day and night. There was a point where my dad was, sleeping on the floor of the shop, loading trucks. And I remember one time, my brother was born, so it must've been after 86. My dad was supposed to watch us, but he had to go do a teardown. So he put us in the front of the 5-ton. I don't even know. It was late. Like it was pitch black out. We were on our way. I don't even know where we were going. He would probably maybe remember. But it was a little ways away anyway. But we had to, he put us in the front of the truck and we just slept in the front of the truck, all the way there. People ask me that all the time. How can you sleep through that? I'm like, you have no idea what I've slept through. Man.
Yeah, for sure. You're a trained professional.
Yeah, my head bouncing off the back of a 5-ton truck at 8 years old. But yeah, man. I mean, so we tagged along with Dad's, a few times, but for the most part, he was working a lot, and my mom, kind of held down the fort with us kids when he was doing that. And Mom worked too. They both worked full time. So I had my grandparents.
Right.
were involved as well. They retired early, so they were able to help out. So, my parents both worked full time, and my dad worked especially a lot. And so, yeah, I mean, I didn't maybe do some of the traditional things as much that you might do with your dad, throw a baseball and all those kind of things.
Yeah,
right?
okay, so I'm the same, right? Yeah, my dad would drop me off at my Baba and Dito's place, and they didn't speak English, and my Ukrainian's terrible. And so, like I said, when I was left unsupervised, I was left unsupervised because they just I could do no wrong. I was the grandson, right? So
Right.
I was out running around in the wood, doing whatever, getting into trouble. Yeah, that was when my dad's weekends, because he always was working. It was a 7-day a week, 24-hour-a-day job for him to do it. People calling.
It's this industry, man. I mean, I hate to admit that I'm partially reliving, what I went through, but I am. I'm so overwhelmed with stuff going on here at Music City and PA Shop that oh, I just got to get back to this client. Oh, I just got to, know. But Ryan, it's 6 o'clock on a Sunday,
Yeah.
But it's just, it's the nature of this business, people, if I get back to him today, then maybe I'll get that show, or maybe I'll get that quote, or maybe I'll, before the next guy. And it's, it's an interesting industry, where everybody's hungry and there's a lot of competition, and you're, especially nowadays,
Well, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. Because everyone starts something and then they get busy and they don't get back to you, and then you get back to them, and it's just, and then whenever they talk to you, they need it yesterday.
Oh, absolutely.
And then when you get it to them tomorrow, they don't get back to you on it for 3 days later. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you think, you drop what you're doing because I got to get it to them right away.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how I am. But yeah, my dad instilled that into me, right? Like, who's in charge? Take care of business, get it done, right?
Yeah, get it done.
Like,
yep.
I don't think I've ever missed a deadline. Knock on wood, yeah, and I don't ever plan on it, right? Like, no matter what, it may be 3 days of no sleep, but if you come to me to get it done, I'll get it done.
Yeah, well, I mean, your dad comes from the time where that whole the show must go on was built, right?
Well, that's
with very little compared to what we have now in terms of resources.
That's what I've been lucky, or maybe not lucky. I don't know exactly how it is, but because I have my big show coming up on the 23rd of August, I haven't really had that, because all this was going on while my dad was passing, right?
Right.
And I'm dedicating the show this year to him. I've got a slide up on the screen dedicated to him. I mean, like, the show must go on, and I know that he'd be proud of me that I didn't break down. And a lot of people, death I think affects people different ways, but
sure,
I've had to focus on this, right? And I know that's what he would have done.
Yep.
If it had been me, right? Like, if the roles were reversed, I know that's what he would do too.
Amazing. Yeah. No, I get it. So when you let's bounce over to you for a sec.
Sure.
So when you were growing up, did you have a thing to get involved in music? Like, you mentioned that your dad would drop you off at the record store and you'd be sorting through music. Like, did you ever have where did music fit in your life other than the influence from your dad?
Okay, so music, growing up when I was young, like really young, growing up, my dad, because we had probably 10,000 vinyl records in the house at any given time. And, like, at the time I can remember, and I remember it clearly, I had a red vinyl Van Halen 2 picture disc type thing. And I remember playing Frisbee with it, right? Because who knew that'd be worth money, right? I'm like 6 years old, like, hey, right? So, and for Christmas they had got me like a toy guitar, a toy drum set, but nothing really until I was 14 and I moved to Ingersoll and my cousin played drums, and they needed a bass player. So I got a bass player, and we used to jam in the basement. I mean, I think the first song we played was Kiss, Cold Gin, and we would play that song over and over again. And in the morning, you know, my mom would have to go around and straighten all the pictures because we would rattle the walls, right? So, you know, God bless. But yeah, so I played, and all through high school I played in bands. Ended up switching to guitar. While I was in Taiwan, I actually recorded one song with a producer from Australia, a buddy that I had met in Toronto. But you know, like all the way along, like, hey, Dad, come watch us jam. I don't go watch garage bands. Hey, Dad, come check us out. Call me when you got a CD, right? Like that's who we. And now I know. I get it now because now I barely play at all anymore, and I can.
Was he trying to push you think?
He was either trying to make me angry so that I would like rebel and do it anyways, right? Which I did, because once I finally had one song on the CD, you know, I called him up, like, hey, can you get this on the radio? Well, what do you want me to do? Promote it? You know what I mean? That's the way he was with me. It was so frustrating, but I think I kind of understand it now, right? And that song ended up getting premiered on CHRW. And I had written it in 2001, and it finally hit the airwaves in 2019, I think. Right? So it sat on a shelf for all those years. So it's out there. It was called Blue Neon Nights, and the song was called Do You Remember? It's all right. It's probably not what you think if you listen to it. Like, you're not going to understand. And actually, while we were in Taiwan, the band that I put together there, we came up with our own 4 makeup faces, but because we were called Blue Neon Nights, and it was all like baby blues, and we each had a different character, and we played one live show in Taiwan. They must have thought we were nuts, but I imagine that's what happened with Kiss in the beginning as well, right? So,
well, even Deadmauss, the DJ, right?
Yeah, the Marshmallow, yeah.
Sticking a marshmallow.
Well, he's playing London, right?
Yeah, Marshmallow's playing, and he sticks a marshmallow on his head, right? Like, you know, people are like, what is that guy doing? How can he see?
Well, I mean, my dad did all kinds of crazy things promoting. Peter Tosh, he dressed up as a tomato. You know, it was on the street, had this tomato costume. Queen, he had for fat bottom girls. He had like girls on not unicycles, but those old big bikes. I think we've got a picture of it somewhere. We'll find it later.
We'll pull it up. Yeah,
you know, topless. Right? Like, I wanted to post it on Facebook the other day with the story about Queen, and I'm like, I'm going to get banned, or, you know, right now I got my concert going on and I can't afford to go to Facebook jail right now. But it really goes with the story. So I don't know if I put the black bars over it or not, but, you know, different times. It was a lot more free back then, right? Now
absolutely.
Now we got all these rules and everybody's uptight, and, you know.
Yeah. So. I mean, I think some of the rules are good, but I think some of them are just overkill, man. Yeah. And it's just, you know, and life gets less fun, you know?
Now, oddly enough, my dad doesn't have a musical bone in his body.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
He couldn't play an instrument. He can barely carry a tune, but he knew what sounded good. Because, I mean, he would be in the studio with bands, you know what I mean? So he knew what sounded good, but he couldn't sing a song. He couldn't, you know, like, he'd try to remember the words, whatever. He just knew what sounds good. He knew what would sell. Right? Yeah. Like I said, I've got an old podcast interview that I'm going to release. And one of the first questions they asked him was, you know, like, someone like Rod Stewart releases an album. It's going to sell. You don't even have to promote it. But what about a band that nobody knows, right? How do you do that? And that's what he was good at, right? He was good at, okay, well, we got to get this, and they got to do this, and they should, you know. They actually compared him to a psychiatrist for the band, and he said, well, I kind of feel like that sometimes, right? In the interview, because basically you're dealing with the manager, you're dealing with the band, and you're trying to talk to them about, you know, hey, guys, you know, like, I've worked with a couple bands recently, you know, they show up wearing, you know, like clothes. You're like, guys, come on. Like, no, you got to have an image. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be walking around like this. Like, if you're going to be a band, you got to stick to it. And that, you know, Brian Vollmer from Helix, that's what he did. He perfected his craft and all those bars and stuff, right? And they had the costumes and, you know, the synchronized moves on stage and all that. It's all part of it. It's showbiz.
Yeah, absolutely. You bring up your dad finding sort of bands that weren't famous. How did how did he do that? Like, how did he, like, when he was working with guys like the Kiss and Rolling Stones, like, how did he know at that time when he was working? Because you said he brought Kiss to London.
He brought Kiss to London, and that's I saw
before they were huge, though, right?
Right. So what had happened was my dad, he was working with the record company, and they had teamed up with CJOM down in Detroit, and the DJ was a guy named Ronnie Legg.
Oh, okay.
My dad was good friends with Reggie Vincent, I guess. He ended up he co-wrote Schools Out, Billion Dollar Babies.
Yep.
About 4 or 5 songs with Alice Cooper. He wrote a bunch of songs with John Lennon on the Double Fantasy album. He was in a band called Frigid Pink.
Okay.
Years later, he would have was it an epiphany? Is that the word? In a hotel room and become a minister.
Oh,
so now so kind of like Alice Cooper, right? So now he lives down in Arizona, which, one time we went down to visit him. We did stop by Alice's home, but he wasn't home. I got a picture of myself leaning on his mailbox. Wow. But yeah, so they were tasked with the job of going to see the New York Dolls, Kiss, and I can't remember. I think there was a third band. I can't remember. And picking the one that they were going to get behind. I think they chose pretty good.
No doubt.
Right?
Yeah.
So, boom, Kiss, London, right? And all this happened, the first time Kiss came to London was like all probably, I think within... I'm going to have some Kiss fans hating on me right now, but I'm pretty sure it was all within like a couple months. They would play London, and then they would go back to the States, and that's when everything went boom.
Wow.
Right? So in the Music Hall of Fame here in London on Dundas Street, there's 3 platinum records that were given to my dad. I'm trying to remember what all 3 say because they used to hang on my wall every day, but when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, he asked if we could display them there. And I was like, well, my friends have seen these for years. I think the world should see them. So it's like for being the first Canadian believer, for being the hottest rock and roll promoter in Canada. And I can't remember what the last one is. And then we got a gold 45 from Beth.
Oh, cool.
Right? That was given to my dad.
We got some photos, right? Folder. We might as well pull that up while we're talking about the guys.
Kiss?
Yep. Right there. Because there's a few photos I think that we have from some of the stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah. And yeah, you do. Yeah.
So what's it? What do we got here?
Okay, so this was a coloring contest that obviously you can see CJBK, right?
Oh,
and
wow.
and CPI is what I think Concert Promotions International. Now, Bob Mitchell was one of my dad's best friends. That's how I got all my backstage passes. I mean, for years and even now, I seldom pay for a ticket. Just always on the list. I feel honored and blessed, but that's just how it rolls, right? So yeah, CJBK did a coloring contest for Kiss, right? So there's some pictures that John Rowlands take. They're in here and they're all plastered on the wall with Paul Stanley standing in front of them, and yeah. So this was CJBK, which was that not where Dick was?
Yeah.
CJ. So right, you know what I mean? Like the universe is pretty weird, eh? It's a little synchronicity going on.
Yeah, we were talking about Dick Williams just earlier.
Okay, so there's that's me in Paul Stanley's arms. The kid standing behind Paul Stanley is my cousin Dave. In the middle is a guy named Shane DeVries. He was just a family friend. I mean, I've taken so many of my friends backstage to meet Kiss over the years, right? Like that, and other bands. And then on the far right there, beside Gene, is my cousin Danny Smith, and he's actually helping me with my show. But he told me like a story the other day that when Van Halen was in town, like my dad took us to the concert, and Danny people at school always thought he was so cool because he had a copy of Van Halen 2 before it hit the stores. Right? Like Van Halen 1 was just coming and he already had Van Halen 2 before anybody else had it, right? That was just some of the perks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, there you go, Joe. So Ronnie Legg, this was the DJ, right? Now, I believe this is the show that one of the roadies got hit with weed or something at the border. It stalled Kiss getting, and they were getting there late, and it was a massive snowstorm, I believe, and
Imagine that, a massive snowstorm on the way to London, Ontario.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, Sunday, December 22nd. And I'm pretty sure like it was getting to the point where like people wanted to start leaving because the show hadn't started yet, and it got a little hectic, right? But my dad got it all pulled together. I think somewhere in here there's the contracts that he rented the hall for like $700 or $1,200. I can't remember the exact price right now.
Yeah. I think
Too much to remember.
Look at that ticket price. Don't you wish ticket prices were like that again?
Oh yeah, $4, $5 for sure,
man. I went to the last ever Kiss show at Madison Square Gardens, and I paid a lot.
Oh, did you go?
You can add a bunch of zeros to that number.
Yeah. And that was probably getting lucky.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, for sure.
I believe these are from London, from that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Well, this. Yeah. Okay. So this is it. This is the London Arena. So maybe this was the one downtown. Yeah. There's Dad and Jean hanging out backstage, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. The big glasses again. Yeah. Okay. So obviously my dad never gets any royalties from it, but he was the one that did the first Merry Kissmas, right? Like this was when there was a bunch of Kiss conventions going around, so they'd always have my dad out as a guest speaker, right?
Sure. Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so this is when Rush was opening for Kiss. I believe this is the Centennial Hall show.
Rush opening for Kiss at Centennial Hall.
Yeah, and that's obviously right. I guess that is Neo, but there is. I think I do have a pictures when it was still with John Rutsey, because I think he did one show and that was pretty much then Neil Peart came in.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. There's Reggie Vincent. I told you who worked with Alice Cooper, co-wrote $1 Billion Baby, Schools Out.
Is that him in the middle there?
That's him in the back with the stubby. The stubby.
There you go.
Remember when beers came like that?
I do.
I believe. I'm trying to remember who the guy is with all the makeup on his face, but something tells me that. Okay, I'm not going to say it because I really don't know who he is. I thought I did. Okay, so this is where up above City Shoe Repair, in behind, years ago, my dad opened the first disco in London. It was called The Image.
Oh, really?
And Motherlode, which was like Kenny Marco, Wayne Smith, Smitty. Trying to remember who was all in there, but they wrote a song called When I Die, and they used to rehearse and practice at my dad's club, The Image. Now, years later, he would reopen a restaurant in this same building called Celebrities. And upstairs had all the pictures of all the celebrities that my dad had been with. And, they had a 5-star Michelin chef in there. And,
wow.
I'm not exactly sure all of the details, but it lasted about a year, I guess. Obviously.
Was this Richmond Street?
Yeah. So the Spaghetti Eddies, I believe, the alleyway to the music hall is just beside where it says Tea Eaton.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Just to the right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So yeah, there's the Beth, the one that he's standing beside. That's the gold 45 for Beth.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So I mean, the guy with it that Eric has his arm around there, that's John Rollins' son. So like John Rollins growing up, he was like an uncle to me. We hung out.
That's
so
wild.
That's his son Jason. Obviously, I'm holding the Kiss album, and this was on the Creatures of the Night tour at Maple Leaf Gardens. And I mean, by this time, because when Creatures of the Night come out, I want to say 86, 87, maybe it was. I think it was later on in the 80s. My dad hadn't worked for Kiss for years at this point, sure. Right? But he was still able to make a phone call, and I never understood it until now. But because I'd always ask him, like, I'd find out Kiss was coming, and it'd be like 8 months to go, and hey, can you give me backstage passes? We gotta go see Kiss. He'd be, Jay, tell me a week before, right? Because nobody thinks about that show that far ahead, right? Everybody's so busy. So sure. But now that I'm doing some stuff similar, I'm like, guys, just chill. Message me a couple of days before. We can make something happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So London Treasure Island Gardens with Hammersmith, right? So this would have been what on the Destroyer tour?
That's the first time I've ever seen London Treasure Island Gardens.
Yeah, I think that's originally what it was called. I think.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's the very first time because I know it as the London Gardens.
Right. I noticed that too when I looked at this the other day, right? And that's why some of these actually have the dates on them, which helps, right? Because I mean, there's way too many dates to remember.
Totally.
Yeah, so it's all from the London shows, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and you can kind of see the big roof trusses in the background there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I believe these were from Varsity. These are at Varsity Stadium is where they are. And so I think this would be Toronto it's over Varsity. Yeah. Pretty sure that's where this is, right? So my dad, like he kept everything. So like I said, you asked me to bring some photos and I was going through them for hours, right? My eyes were straining.
Yeah, this one says Toronto Star 1976.
Yeah, right? Like so and so I've already promised one of the big Kiss fan pages on Facebook that I found some of this and he's like freaking out. Because every once in a while I send them something that they've never seen before. And I mean, they basically do Kiss history every day in archives.
Oh man, when I went to that show in New York, I mean, it's their hometown. It's the last show ever. The Kiss Army, if there ever was a time when the Kiss Army was out in its fullest effect.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it was insane.
Did you do any like the pop-ups, like the pizza,
No, I didn't.
The sub, okay.
No, I didn't.
Because I had a friend that went to be like, I will be honest, love Kiss, but I find in the later years it became really scripted. There wasn't really but I've heard the final shows, like the show was the show. So for the show, but I found it very, I don't know. I like the original four. My dad will tell you the same thing. I like when they were hungry, when there was no way in hell they were going to fail.
Yeah.
And that was the attitude that they went for, right? Because once they got here, well, they just kept making money. You know what I mean? It became a perpetual machine.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Okay, yeah. London Centennial Hall, July 25th, 1974, which I believe is that poster right here.
There you go.
So, this one, the original, hangs in the Music Hall of Fame. These ones we got autographed by Peter when he was in London at Comic-Con. And I think we were talking about this earlier, so I'd be honored if you hang this up in here.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah.
I can get it on set for the next guest, but I think you should definitely have that.
Check that out. Right on. Thank you, man.
Hey, no problem, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna put it back here.
Yeah.
With the Healy pedal.
Made it fall. Yeah, there you go. On the Jeff Healy pedal. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Just
I don't think Healy ever opened for Kiss, but you know, it's all good.
No. But there you go. Yeah.
There it is.
London Arena. What did he pay? $751 or $851 because he left $100 deposit.
$100 deposit.
And you know,
there's promoters looking at this going, I wish I could book an arena for $850.
Yeah.
Book anything for anything close to that. That's funny.
Yeah, and I don't even I'm not even sure what production would have cost at that time, right?
I don't know.
Because obviously we know what it costs now. It's good.
Well, I'm sure my dad might know.
All right, so these three guys, and I think there's some more pictures. So if you can see behind, there's a Santa Claus. So this was the Merry Christmas shows that we were talking about. And my dad hired 4 kids to dress up like Kiss, drove them around to all the record stores in town and had them spotted all over town. And everyone was going, I met Kiss. I saw Kiss. Oh my God, Kiss was here, right? And Kiss wasn't anywhere near.
That's funny.
Yeah, London Convention promises merchandise galore. Okay, so yeah, that's... okay, where is that? I believe this is Greg Ortbach. Do you know Greg?
No.
No? Okay, he's from London. There he is, Ortbach. Yeah, he used to run the Kiss Fan Club magazine. He had a thing called Kiss Emergency Task Force.
Oh, wow.
He plays a bit. Anyways, yeah, he's from London.
Cool.
Really, really good friend of ours.
Cool. Shout out to Greg.
Yeah.
That's
hey,
great.
Greg. Oh, there you go. So these might be, yeah. So obviously the band gets some, and my dad got one of those or 2 of those.
That's cool.
Yeah, my dad and Paul, right? So you can see in the background, that's those coloring posters they had, for the contest.
Right.
I don't know the story of who judged or who won or anything like that, but maybe DJ might. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I believe this is just a dressing room pic, but I believe it's from somewhere in Toronto. But look at that. Like, that's when they were hungry. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
so, yeah, the next one, actually, I have the actual
Oh, nice.
hard version of it, right? So this hangs on my office, right, for inspiration. This is kind of, I look at this every day. It's got an unused ticket in it. I still have some unused tickets from a couple of the shows that, they're just, but over the years, my dad was thinning out his stuff, right? I mean, he knew that he was, you're getting older, whatever, and we sold a lot of it.
Where was this show? Because you can
London
tell.
Arena.
Okay.
Which was downtown, I believe.
Well, because you can, but if you look at the ceiling, like you can tell that's a small room.
Oh, yeah. Like, look at the curtains on it and stuff. Well, and it's got styrofoam panels, right? There's no trestles or anything. It's got those, what do you call them? The roof panels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the London Arena, which I believe was like Talbot and I'm trying to remember where it is. It was downtown, right downtown.
Yeah, it was.
We'll get some people commenting on socials and on YouTube. You guys can set us straight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, comment for sure.
Yeah, okay.
See, so there, London Gardens. So now, see, all of a sudden it says London Gardens.
So this is actually out at the London Gardens that we know it is.
Yeah.
Right? I guess now it's the Flying Squirrel, or it's empty, maybe.
I think it's empty now, yeah. It was the Velodrome for a while.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, it was a Velodrome.
So, yeah, this was just another poster that was done up, right?
Yeah, London Arena.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so that's the ticket, which obviously comes from the poster.
That's cool.
So, yeah, I've still got a few of those kicking around, but once again, $3.50, $4.50. It went up $1 or went up 50 cents, I guess, or maybe this one was cheaper.
This one's cheaper, yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. That's so wild. $303.50 to see Kiss.
Is that not crazy?
Wow. Yeah, that's mind blowing. That's cool.
Okay, so yeah, and then I don't know if my dad was at this show. I'm not 100% sure. He may have been. But we just have memorabilia for everything, right?
Sure,
so
yeah.
Ball, $6.50. Okay, so yeah, that's...
so there's the ticket that says it, London Treasure Island Gardens.
Yep. So I've got one of those at home, very similar to that one. Yeah. So just, backstage photo.
Yeah.
I don't know who all the other people are, but my dad, obviously, on the far left.
So this is a good. So this is a good photo for me to bring this up. Was your dad all about business at this time, or was because I mean this was for Kiss coming up at this time. This was the sex, drugs, and rock and roll era for them, right? Like sure.
For Ace and Peter, yeah. I mean, I'm sure my dad got the job done. I mean, I don't know for sure where he was, but I will tell you, it's funny. If you were to go sit down and have this conversation with my dad, he'd talk to you about Kiss. He'd tell you all his stories. When I'd talk to him about Kiss, he'd be like, it was just a job, man. You know what I mean? Because that's eventually what it became for him, right? Like it was a job, and a job that he did very well, right? But you wouldn't find my dad throwing on a Kiss CD.
Interesting.
And he'd throw on the Eagles before he'd throw on a Kiss CD.
Interesting.
So, but obviously he did a lot of cool things with Kiss, right?
Sure.
And when he would take me to these shows, that's what I said. Like everyone's, oh, you met Kiss, you hung out with Kiss, you did it. Yeah, I know. But when we talked about the father thing, we would drive. He'd be so busy, we weren't chatting. We'd get there. He'd drop me off at the show. We'd get pictures with the band. And he'd take me to my seat, and then he'd take off. And sometimes I'd be by myself watching the show, right?
Oh, wow.
And then I'd meet him after, and then he'd drive me home, right? Because he'd go out hobnobbing with... He didn't watch the show. He didn't care.
Really, eh?
Yeah, like he'd been there, done that.
Sure.
Had the book written, you know what I mean? Like saw the movie.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I've done some work with bands too like that where once you've seen the show a few times, You know, especially in this, if it's in the same tour, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
unless it's early days and the band's like wild and out of control and you're just watching it for
you got to
antics.
catch it once and then maybe twice, but yeah, I mean eventually, and I find that too because I'm probably at a concert 1 to 3 times a month, I'd say, and
That's
there's
good.
times where I watch a bit, and then there's other times where I'm just busy doing other stuff, right? Because you're there when you're in the industry. It's all of a sudden a little bit, you're not just. Or I find myself now at the concert. I'm like, okay, well, how many bathrooms? How many porta potties they got?
Oh,
Where are they? And
because
how
you're
can
on the
I
other
put
side
this
of it
over
now.
here? And what and wow, and what are they doing with those lights? And maybe they should have stood over here, and maybe the drums should have been on an angle, right? Like stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I start analyzing the show as a show, not just watching the performance.
Yeah, well, and I almost wonder if your dad did a lot of that too, right?
Yeah. I'm sure that's what he did.
To your
right?
point of you're starting to do things like him now, right?
Right,
Like, see things like he did.
So win a satin suit from Peek and Seek Richmond. So I mean, obviously I was way too young at this, but obviously there was a store called Peek and Seek, right? So this is where, and I think so that guy earlier that had all the makeup, that's I think that's where he was from. The store.
The store.
Yeah,
that
Peek
could've
and
been.
Seek. So this is same. Well, obviously that's the hallway right out of the old London Gardens. So this would be the show that they have me in the picture. I think there's me and Peter Chris are coming up soon. A little bit blurry, but obviously I don't know what that Kiss Comes Again is, but yeah, there you go. Oh, that was in a Japanese magazine. And I think that I don't know where I lost the magazine. I had a copy of it, and I'm sure there was a picture of my dad in it as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's probably why he kept it.
There we go. A little bit of.
Yeah.
Oh, we're upside down. That's okay.
There we go.
Anyways, I think we saw that one in black and white. Keep going. Okay, yeah. So this is on the night that they were presenting those the awards.
Yep.
Is that Bill Alcorn? I think that's who that is on the outside. Oh, there you go. London Gardens, April 12th.
Lots of promo, eh? Like lots of different promo, different pics, different shots, different posters.
Yep.
It's interesting.
So that's obviously that was Kit. So the guy named Craig Sellers. So he would have been in and around like with the Gandharva. We all went to high school together. That era, right? Gandharvas, Droogs. Craig now, I believe he does animations and stuff for Disney and Star Wars and all that kind of stuff. He actually airbrushed me this Gene Simmons shirt in high school. I wish I still had it. And the other one was his brother. So those were just two friends that I took down to the CNE on the last day of school. And I think it was Kiss, Whitesnake, Faster Pussycat, and Slaughter. And that was the night that Whitesnake told Kiss they weren't allowed to use any pyro because it was Whitesnake's headlining show. Yeah. And Steve Vai had the guitar that flew up like Ace Frehley and all that stuff. But Kiss, I believe there's a newspaper article where Kiss blew Whitesnake off the stage even without pyro.
Wow.
Right? So like one of the only times Kiss wasn't allowed to use pyro, right? And obviously it was in the Hot in the Shade tour. It's all kind of coming back. What's this? This is Eric Carr. This was on the Asylum tour. So I think there's so basically the kid on the far right, that's my cousin Brian Long. Me on the inside, Gene. The kid beside me is a guy I went to high school, I guess we went grade 6, 7, and 8 with. Mark Wiley is his name. The kid in the back, once again, is John Rowland's son, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
And then the girl on the far left is my cousin, Tracy, and I'm having a hard time remembering who the little one is at the front. But, that was what I did. I'd take some kids to meet Kiss. Right? Like, how cool was that, Carmine Apiece, they were King Cobra was opening on this tour. So Johnny Rod from Wasp, I believe, and Carmine. That's in the back of Kiss's limo. Later, there's a real famous interview with Jeannie Becker from Much Music.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was done in the back of that limo, but we came cruising in. Yeah, Paul, I'm sitting there just, hurry up and sign that, would you, man? I mean, I had Kiss's autographs so many times, right? Like, eventually I stopped asking for it, because how many times do you need them,
Sure,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why, because Helix were the first band to open for Kiss without their makeup on the Lick It Up tour, right? They were the first band, and I think that's what this tour was. I think that's I don't know where this shot's from.
Well, that's quite the set, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it would have obviously. I think it was around the Alive set, right? And they would
Yep.
come down those. Up the stairs, but I think those platforms actually came down on and then went back up on lifts. Like, yeah, I mean, like, I bet you this production's so much cheaper than what we got now. And it was probably way more difficult to pull this off than what we can do now with the technology we have.
Oh yeah, there was so much labor that went into a lot of these setups back then, right? Whereas now a lot of it, we got specialty clamps and trusses and things that fit together, and you got forklifts, and
Yeah.
it was just a totally different time now. Totally different resources. So getting away from the Kiss thing for a bit.
Yeah. It's a lot.
No, it's all good. How did your dad link up with the guys from Queen? I'm interested to hear about that.
Well, to be honest, that I don't really know how he started working for Queen. Obviously, because he was working for the record company in Toronto,
that makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, basically, they would be coming to town, and my dad's job was to entertain them and get them,
Okay.
So, some of those pictures, I believe, are at a gay bar in Toronto way back then, because obviously, people in the industry knew Freddie was gay before the world knew Freddie was gay, right?
Yeah,
so, my dad had to make sure that he, took him out, right? Like,
So that being said, like your dad was involved on the promotion side of stuff with Kiss, but he was more or less working for the record company,
right? Yeah,
for the Queen thing.
Yeah, like basically that's how he worked with a lot of these bands. He would get hired by the record company to promote them and get their records into the radio stations.
Okay.
So I don't know if you saw the clip on social media the other day when my dad got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Ronnie Hawkins, who one of my dad's best friends throughout the years, he sent a video saying, "Nick, you're the best record hustler I've ever seen. If anybody deserves to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's you. Thank you for all those records you got me."
Wow.
Because my dad that was his job. He would go around, he would be in the radio stations, he'd be talking, right? Like, so that was more his job, promoting the bands, getting their music into the record store. So it was more promotional manager, not necessarily managing the bands, right? And he only looked after, it wasn't like he was going all over the world. He looked after Toronto, London, like in the area.
Sure. So it would have been the same with the Stones then too. Like when they were coming to Toronto, he was.
Well, the Stones was a little bit different, I think, because I mean that's what he was doing with them. He was promoting the albums and promoting the records, but he also became like good friends with them. Like when Keith got busted with the heroin in Toronto, it was my mom and my dad. They babysat Marlon, which is Keith's son. Right? They went out for dinner and they were watching him while Keith was all tied up down at the station and everything. Right?
Man.
So
crazy.
And then when the sentencing came or whatever, and Keith didn't get anything, but they had to do the concert for the blind. I hope it's at the Hall of Fame. I mean, it sounds sad that I don't know where it is, but I had like the lyrics to a Rolling Stones tune written in Braille, all autographed to the Stones.
Wow.
And then Mick had written the lyrics to Miss You on a napkin and tossed it in the garbage, and my dad grabbed it out. and I'm not sure where that is right now. But my friend actually messaged me about it the other day and said he had a picture of it. The napkin,
Crazy.
right? So just weird stuff like that we would find. Obviously, my dad was a part of the Mocambo show, the secret show, right? I think they went by the Cockroaches was the name of it. There was a black corduroy jacket with Chinese dragons on it. Real bright, colorful, green, yellow, red, up both sleeves. And on the back, it was the Rolling Stones. Inside was red satin. There was like, I don't know the number, but each band member got one. My dad got one.
What?
That's how close it is. And I used to wear it to high school.
What?
I used to wear it to school.
That's
right?
wild.
Like, and of course, someone stole it. Because we don't know where it is, right? It's gone. Yeah, someone stole it over these years. I know that he didn't sell it because I know my dad was really upset when that jacket went. Yeah.
Wow, that's brutal, man.
It's pretty crazy.
Jared, go to the Stones photos for a sec. I don't believe there's as many as the Kiss.
No, there's just a few. Yeah, everything else, it's basically Kiss I gave you the most of.
Yeah. Go to the Stones, Rolling Stones, up, right below. Yeah, right there. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, Charlie Watts autographed that to me. I never got to meet the Stones, but I did have this autograph, and this was all happening when I was probably at my grandparents when this was happening.
Sure. Yeah.
I did go to the Steel Wheels tour, had a backstage pass, had a staff shirt and stuff, but it never panned out. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, so there's my dad and Mick, and I believe this might even be London.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is back in the hallway in the gardens, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's my dad, right? Obviously, they're doing some sort of a radio interview. So it was my dad's job to get him to the radio station, book the interviews, make sure all that happened, right? So Keith and my dad talking. Like, there you go. Okay, what's it say? So, okay, Keith Richards, Oshawa Civic Arena. Okay.
Yeah, Oshawa Civic Auditorium. Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So.
Sweet.
Okay, so that's the Mocambo show, right?
That's cool.
I just grabbed a few things.
Yeah, we might as well hit up the Queen ones while we're here.
Sure.
Because we talked about them too.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of stuff. Like, we talked about it. I mean, there was probably stuff happening.
Oh, I think we have some, but I don't know if they're in an actual... yeah, they might be in the...
I did do a Queen folder, I'm pretty sure. Nope, not there. I'm pretty sure I did a Queen folder. Maybe, I don't know.
That's okay.
All right, well, there is a picture. Well, okay. Let's...
So, yeah, all good. So... at what point, like, so you were talking about your dad kind of not being around as much, when he was in town and stuff. Did that ever change? Like,
not
towards the later, like even in his later part of life? Like, at what point did he kind of start to move
not
out
really
of the biz?
Because my parents separated when I was 6. Right. And originally I wanted to stay with my dad, my dad was cool. You know what I mean? Like, and I love my mom. I didn't want her to go. Like, she had all her boxes packed up. I ripped them all up and threw her stuff all over so she couldn't leave. She had to pack twice when she was leaving. Right. But, eventually he just couldn't do it. His job wasn't going to allow him to do it. So I ended up being with my mom. So he was in Toronto. And then even after all all of that, my dad wound up getting a job at Deerhurst up in Huntsville.
Oh, really?
So I was living, that's where he would hire Shania Twain and put Shania into the Vegas show.
Oh,
and
okay. I saw that.
Yeah, he would give Shania. So this was a little bit of a documentary on Deerhurst.
Pull that up.
I think I have it in there. Yeah, Shania.
We do. So everybody, the photos we're going to show you are basically photos.
Basically, this package open.
This packaging, so you can see it properly.
Now, this is actually this was the prototype, right? So he did a limited run. There's another release of it with a different cover.
Okay,
but this would be something that in Taiwan, I decided I wanted to be a graphic designer, got a computer, taught myself stuff, and
Cool.
my dad needed help. So this would be one of the first major projects that I would design.
Oh,
And
wow.
at the time, I was 73 Minstrel Graphic Arts, web design and graphic arts. The Media Group was the last company that my dad was going under. I did that logo for him. Obviously, we got John Rowland's name on there, Limelight Records. I mean, my dad I have a younger brother named Nicholas, and he had a YouTube channel, Mega Sponge Bob. My dad just put his son's name on the package. He didn't have anything to do with anything, but that's just who my dad was, you know.
That's cool.
So so basically it was a DVD package. You can get it online if you go to electromediagroup.com, I believe is where you can watch it.
So is that her there?
Yep. So Harry Hine, right? Wolfgang Spag. So these were all songs. I mean, so Shania danced in the Vegas show, and she did Somewhere Over the Rainbow and Memories, and it was like a dinner Vegas style show. So I was actually hung out with all those dancers and stuff. I'm like 13, 14 at this time, whenever I'd go up to Deerhurst to see my dad, right?
Sure.
So so it's basically kind of got the story of it. Shania never really got behind the project. I know, I don't really know what happened, but the project didn't end up turning out very successful.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, you can get copies of it. People were bootlegging it. I mean, that was at the time, you put something out now, it can be bootlegged in like 30 seconds.
Oh,
right?
yeah, of course.
So,
Yeah, I know a couple of guys that work here that have albums from back in the 90s and stuff, and they're like there's all kinds of album sales in places like Germany and that.
Yeah.
But they haven't produced that album in, however
for
many
sure.
years, right?
Well, I've got a folder of Kiss bootlegs at home from shows all over. I don't know, my dad got it for me, right? It's got hundreds of Kiss shows recorded. So yeah, this was the package that we put together, and then eventually when it went to phase 2, so it was obviously this was a press release that I did for my dad, right? So that was kind of where I started getting back in. Like I was into computers when I was really young, and then I didn't have one for 20 years or so. When I got to Taiwan, got a computer one day and I couldn't get enough of it. I just lived, slept Photoshop, Illustrator,
Wow.
After Effects, all of it, right?
Jay, go to the one that says random.
Yeah, random.
For a second. Because I just want to touch on the fact that obviously we're talking about some of these really big.
Sure,
big
and I've got
acts.
some stories about some of these
so
pictures here.
we'll start at the beginning there.
Okay, we'll go back to the beginning. Okay, so that's Dominic Triano.
Yeah.
So Dominic Triano, he played in the Guess Who. I believe he played in Motherlode for a bit. I mean, he's one of the biggest legendary Canadian guitar players. And I mean, they were like brothers, like friends. I mean, even now, his brother Frank, I believe it's his brother Frank, he's commenting on all my Facebook stuff. Like I can just see him like that's just how close he was to the Triano family, right? So when Dominique left, but yeah, that T-shirt that my dad's wearing, that says Flash, and it has a lightning bolt. I have that crest off the shirt, so I could sew it on a new shirt. I still have that. I have the crest from that shirt.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of. Oh, okay, so that's Dominic Triano. The guy on the far left is Bobby DuPont. I believe that's Skip Prokop beside my dad on the left from Lighthouse.
Oh, really? Eh?
And on the far left is Bobby DuPont. And I think they had a band called Sweet Blindness.
Okay.
And then Bobby DuPont was kind of like a soul singer at a club in Toronto called the Blue Note years later, like George Oliver.
Oh, I've heard about
Bobby
the Blue
DuPont.
Notes,
Yeah. So I'm not sure where this show is, but yeah, I just thought, Dominic Triano being a Canadian guitar player.
That's a cool photo for sure.
Obviously, Liberace, we touched on this one earlier. Yeah, I just had a promo shot. Like I said, I've just got archives of stuff.
Yeah, this is wild.
And I scanned it all. So on the left there, that's a guy named Brian Ayres who played bass in Grant Smith and the Power. Now, Grant Smith was inducted in the Hall of Fame from London, right? He was like, he was a white James Brown, man. And he was like my uncle. He was my neighbor for years. I mean,
really?
just really, really, really good friends. And Brian, he hired my dad at Deerhurst to help promote the Vegas show, which is how my dad hired Eileen at the day.
So it looks like his jacket has producer on it.
Yeah.
Your dad says public relations.
Yeah, PR.
And then assistant to producer there is what his
so
says.
he was basically my dad was promo, PR, basically that's basically what his job was
Your dad rocked that mustache, man.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I seldom seen him without it until years later. Like, he didn't have one when he passed. Now, I believe, well, you're going to see Bill Cosby on the wall, but I will tell you that, that's the only artist that my dad said he was an a-hole.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
wow.
just he never talked bad about any artist other than Bill Cosby. He said Bill Cosby was one of the most difficult people to work with, and he was just rude and arrogant. And
wow.
So it's really weird. Like, out of all the people my dad worked with, Bill Cosby's the...
I've heard there's, and like we got a guy here, Bungie, who works here, and Bungie said that Prince was difficult.
Oh yeah,
and Prince is known to be difficult, right? Especially with his crew and stuff. He's really super anal. Was super anal.
Well, it's kind of hard to call his name when he changed it to a sign. Right?
Yeah,
what would he call him?
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I guess the point of that being that there's, everybody can't be easy, right?
No, of course.
There's always got to be someone, right? So it just happened to be Bill.
Always that one guy.
Yeah, it just happened to be Bill, which is interesting, right? Because the guy goes on to make a TV show.
He's Mr. Huxtable,
Yeah,
I grew up thinking he was the best father, and then all of a sudden,
your dad tells you the behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, like that, and you don't think that, and then obviously got himself into quite a bit of trouble.
He did. Absolutely. Who's this?
I want to say, oh my God, I don't know. I want to say Peter Tosh, but I'm not sure.
All right, keep it rolling there, Jay.
I'm not sure. Mickey Gilly. My dad worked really well with Mickey Gilly.
That's cool.
So yeah, Mickey Gilly took him, flying in his little private Cessna and all that kind of stuff. Like that was like you. I think earlier I had in some of the notes you would kind of give to or whatever that those were the things I got to do with my dad, like fly in helicopters. We're gonna talk about after there's no picture of this, so maybe we could do it now. I guess
go for it.
So the Eagles. In Toronto, the Eagles are playing. I'm there. Hotel California tour. When Hotel California came on, I'm trying to think of how old I am. 5, 6. The limos go out empty. The crowds chase the limos. My dad, myself, and the Eagles are in the back of an ambulance going out the other way. Because who's going to chase an ambulance?
Right.
So I rode in an ambulance with the Eagles.
Wow. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And what was the reason that they did that? Just because they wanted to avoid the crowd?
They were going to get mobbed, right? Like, so, because when the limos pull out, everyone was like, they pound on the limo and whatever. So it was it was a decoy.
Wow.
It was a decoy, right? I guess we missed when we were talking about Kiss as well. They picked me up in a limo and took me and my dad fishing. Peter and Ace and I and my dad went to Fanshawe Conservation Area, and we went fishing. Gene and Paul chose baseball while they were in town, so they went to the Fanshawe Baseball Diamonds, and they had like a slow pitch game with a bunch of people, right?
Really?
So that was what they chose, and like I said, as vividly as I remember, Ace Frehley's wearing snakeskin cowboy boots, probably $300 jeans. And he walks right down into the river with his fishing rod, and he's standing there. And then he asked someone for scissors, and he came back out and sat down and cut his jeans off into jean shorts and went back into the water fishing, standing in like snakeskin cowboy boots, right?
That's wild.
So, I mean, yeah, I've got to do a lot of stuff that once again, some people only dream of. I've been honored. I've been blessed. It blows my mind. I kind of, going to Taiwan for me, I got away from it because nobody knew.
Right.
And I didn't really tell too many people. You know what I mean? I kind of did my own thing.
Sure.
Right? But, coming back here, everybody knows me. Everybody knows, oh, you met Kiss. You did this. I was like, yeah, I did actually. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Colonel Tom.
Colonel Tom.
So the closest my dad got to meeting Elvis, well, he did stay at Graceland, but he never met Elvis. Now, it was odd. I always found it odd. You know, you asked my dad, "Did you ever meet Elvis?" And he'd say, "Elvis never met me." It's always his comeback, right?
That's great.
But he did hang out with Colonel for a day.
Oh, that's cool.
Mickey Gilly again. So yeah, the Quality Records, right? So Mickey obviously would have been on Quality Records label.
Quality was a big label, man.
Oh yeah.
Lots going on there. I was a DJ from way back. I started DJing in the early 90s, but I had a lot of stuff from albums, 45s, 12 inches, and CDs, promo CDs actually, from Quality.
With the hole punched in, or whatever. Well, I guess the vinyl had the hole punched in the corner, or the cut corner.
Yeah. And I still have them. I'm brutal like that. I won't throw CDs or I won't throw that stuff out, man. I have all kinds of stuff from back then, but I remember Quality was putting out a ton of great stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like even their promo discs, man. You know, you'd have 8 or 9 tracks on a disc, and they were all like almost all of them were great.
Yep.
You know, like almost all of them became hits.
Yeah. Who's it? Muddy Waters, I think.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. So I don't really have a story. I don't have a story about Muddy. And actually, I made the mistake the other day. I posted this with one of my stories. Chuck Berry. I don't think I have the ticket, but he played Beale High School.
Oh, really?
But he stayed at my house in the spare room beside me when I was probably 3 or 4 years old.
That's crazy.
And so Chuck Berry slept in my spare room while I was sleeping, you know, in the next room after the show.
Why?
Well, just my dad was doing the show at Beale or whatever.
And he just said, "Hey, come sleep at my place."
Yeah, like you can chill here, right? And and
wild.
You know, there was a knock at the door with the police in the morning. I won't go into the story. That's for a private conversation. But it got a little hairy in the morning. Let's say that.
Oh man.
I want to say Long John. No, is that Long John Baldry? Maybe.
No, I don't recognize him. Your dad's got a Yankees shirt on there, though. That's interesting.
Yeah, up until a few years ago, I still had that shirt. I mean, like over the years, we just had so much stuff, right? And we started getting rid of it. And now, like I said, it's crazy because here I am restocking with stuff that I'm doing now, right?
Absolutely.
And so I usually wind up giving it. There's Grant Smith and the Power.
That's an awesome photo.
Okay, so this is Thor. Now, I don't know if you know Frank Soda and the Imps.
No.
Okay, so Frank Soda and the Imps was a band, and they played with this guy, Thor, and this guy was it Keep the Dogs Away. And he would come out carrying a girl on each shoulder, carrying gold records and stuff, and he was a real strong man. Now, Frank Soda would go on, he would play with a TV on his head.
What?
Like a hollowed out TV that had gunpowder in the top of it, and it would explode out the top of his head.
Oh,
now, check him out. He's good. Now, later when we get to which is crazy. He's one of my dad's best friends, right?
Wow.
So all of a sudden, all these years later, when Brian Vollmer and I are filming our documentary, whose house do we stay at? Frank Soda's house.
Come on.
And that's our home base for like 2 weeks. And we're traveling in and out of there. It's one of my dad's best friends. I get back. I design a 3D printed that I used a friend of mine named Matt Thurston. There's a 3D TV that wrapped around a lighter, so you could flick the lighter so the flame would come out, because he still does that trick today.
Okay, yeah.
And I would design his very first T-shirt for an album he had called High Times. Lee Aaron was a part of Frank Soda.
Really?
And this guy Thor, he was like a gimmick, right? And him and Frank Soda actually just did an album more recently, but it's just really weird how it came full circle, right? Now all of a sudden I'm staying at one of my dad's best friend's places through Brian Vollmer from Helix, who I was a fan of Helix before I started working with them, and I'm so honored that they let me be a part of their legacy. You know what I mean? But yeah, so this is Thor, and he had something to do in around Kiss. Well, take Country Roads, Take Me Home, John Denver, right? I don't know much of a story about this, but there is a couple pictures with my dad, and that's Bobby DuPont standing beside my dad as well, from Sweet Blindness.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, yeah. So all of this hung on, like, this is in Deerhurst, but when my mom and my dad got back together, which was just after Deerhurst, all of this hung on my wall in the jam room. So when my band was jamming, this is what we were looking at. And there's obviously Rod Stewart, right? So my dad worked with Rod on that tour and in London, so he got given that record. But you know, this is as a young band, what we're looking at, what we're trying to play, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's cool.
Etta James, I think, was there. I mean, obviously my dad wasn't a St. Louis blues fan, but the music note. Right. Like that was the significance there. I think Ozzy would, Keith Moon. The story about this picture is they're sitting having dinner and, you know, like a banquet thing, you know, a little function. And Keith's like, we got to go, man. We got to go. Cops coming. Let's go. We got to go. He grabs my dad and they go into the bathroom, come back out. They snapped this picture. There was no cops coming. There was no nothing. It was just paranoia.
Okay. That's funny.
Burton. This is at the Juno Awards. So my dad worked with Burton a lot. I wound up doing some designs for Burton in the past couple years. Designed some T-shirts for him and some other stuff, which, like I said, it kind of comes full circle, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Who else we got?
I like Burton. He's great.
Grant. Okay, yeah. So this is obviously just a
promo shot.
Yeah. Kenny Marco. So Kenny Marco would have played like Motherlode with Domatron. It's beautiful. He would hang out. I've got pictures of him hanging out in my backyard with my first dog and me as a, you know, like a little toddler and whatever, kind of like an uncle to me. I've got a picture with Kenny Marco in a recording studio in Ingersoll, standing, you know, with the headphones on. So we've got a shot. I've got a shot with him very similar to this shot.
Oh wow,
you know?
That's cool.
Yeah, Kim Mitchell.
No.
Yeah, that's
Come on.
That's Kim Mitchell.
Give me a break.
That's
you
Kim
serious?
Mitchell. Yeah, my dad and Kim are like really good friends, man. They've been friends for years.
Wild, man.
So that's a young
if
Kim
you
Mitchell.
would have asked me, there's no way you got that answer out of me. No way. No way.
Yeah, that's Kim Mitchell.
Wow.
I don't know where that is. We'd have to ask Kim. But yeah, I ran into Kim at the Frank Soda show at the Rock Pile in Toronto, and we had, you know,
man, that's so cool. I'd love to get Kim on. I think I emailed his son about him coming on, but I'd love to get Kim on the show.
Well, I believe isn't he coming to London?
Yeah, I think so.
Is he doing one of those East Park shows?
I think no, he did it last. He did the last year.
But he's doing something with David Wilcox in Mount Bridges, maybe Lions Park or something close.
That could be. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Obviously, another picture with John Denver. Like I said, I don't really know much of this. Like I said, my dad and I's relationship wasn't always.
They kind of got the same kind of hairstyle going on there, eh?
Yeah, I mean, we went years sometimes without speaking to each other just because we would butt heads. You know, as all families do. No love lost. He was always still my hero. I loved him. It's just somehow we couldn't reach each other, right? So it would be like, take a time out.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
the Cars. So my dad worked this tour with the Cars. Obviously, I think that's Q10. Maybe that is Quality. Would that have been on Quality Records as well, or it's either Q107 or it's Quality? But this would have been a promotion that they were doing for what is this album? My dad did the Candio album, and I think this one was Drive. Is that the name of this one?
Yeah.
Now I would grow up with these posters all over my wall, and you know, and with the Cars.
That's cool.
There, Wayne Newton. So I mean, that's my dad. That's he and literally he pretty much BS'd his way into that room.
Really,
to talk to Wayne Newton.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Donna Summer.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so worked with her as well. Etta James, he just loved Etta James, man. There's a bunch of pictures of them hugging.
That's cool.
Showing some love.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, what's this, Saturday, June 28th, 1973 by Noel Gallagher, Friday Night, Centennial Hall. Okay, so this is obviously an article. Okay, so this is an article written about a band called Symphonic Slam with a guy named Timo Lane. Now, they would open, I guess it was for Rush, and he actually gave Rush a run for their money. Now, what his claim to fame was he was one of the first people. He had like a Bell telephone patch booth, And he was the first person to have a guitar play synthesizers
Oh, wow.
by, but it was like done old school, right? All the patching, the phone thing together. So that was, I've got a few copies of the album. I mean, if you get it, think of the beginning to Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs, right?
Wow.
That kind of, with all these space noises and
Sure.
guitar. It was all done on guitar, right? It wasn't keyboard.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of it was just, it sounded cool and it was experimental and it was fun.
The album, obviously, it didn't go as far as they wanted to, but I think it was just too ahead of its time.
Exactly. That's
like, I think my dad was always working with people that were too ahead of its time, and you had to find those people that got it now.
Yeah.
Right? Because I bet you there's been a lot where they went, oh man, we should have jumped on that.
Yeah.
We should have jumped on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's the ticket. Now, Headhunters. Headhunters was one of the biggest hair salons in London. It was years later. I don't know where all the locations were, but at one time it was in the Bell Building, on the first floor of the Bell Building there, down by Canada Life Place.
Yeah.
And it was run by a really good friend of my dad's. I feel bad because I got this picture and it's all my dad's friends, and Willie's the only one left standing in that picture. You know what I mean? When you're getting to that point, right? So just an all out great guy. This is at the Junos with, and my mom was here that night too, but with Trudeau. My dad would meet Trudeau, hang out with Trudeau quite a few times. Obviously, they were at the Stone show at the El Mocambo and all that, right too. But I believe this was at the Juno Awards. Thor again, yeah. So I don't know what kind of crazy show this was, but yeah, just look them up. I think the album was called "Keep the Dogs Away," and I mean,
what I'm finding is a lot of these shows. It's interesting at the time, like you can see like this little drape line cut around a piece of duct. Like none of these. Some of these venues, it was none of it was like this massive extravagant thing. Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes some of these venues were like just
holes in the ground.
Yeah, like holes in the wall. Like, but just like kind of like you said, your dad had that club, but that's what it kind of reminds me of, is that type of thing, like a Richmond Street or Dundas Street type of building, and you go in, and this is the venue. It's like this lower ceiling height like that, where these people are all playing. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got in here?
That's it. Cool. So, let's talk about you. So how did you end up? So you said you went overseas. You were teaching English overseas. How did you go from sort of like, obviously, your dad went off, did his thing. You stayed with your mom.
Yeah.
And then how do you go from that sort of era to going off to Thailand?
Taiwan. Yeah.
Taiwan.
So. It's kind of aren't they all crazy stories? Like my life people have been telling me my book's got to come next, maybe a Netflix special,
Hey, there you go.
So basically, mom and dad get back together after Deerhurst. This is where we moved back to Ingersoll, my mom's hometown. My dad opens a restaurant. It fails. We live in a bunch of places. I moved from London to a small town. My mom wanted, I was getting into trouble in London, and I was pretty rebellious because my dad. Well, anyways, wind up going to IDCI in Ingersoll, and kicked out, dropped out, went back. Went to Fanshawe. It was actually odd. I went to Fanshawe to be an audio-visual technician.
Yeah.
Lasted about 3 weeks, took the grant, gave them back the loan, and never went back.
Oh, wow.
And all these years later, I'm doing it anyways without actually going to school for it.
That's awesome.
So, and then I was going to go back to high school. and I got hired at Cami. And I was like, I'm living at home. I'm 18. I make $25 an hour, work in the union. I'll be retired now. Like, had I stayed, I would have been retired 5 years ago, maybe, I think it was. Full pension, all of that, right?
Right.
I don't know if it's the same recession, but I guess it would have been, when was it?
1990 for my dad.
Yeah, okay, 19. Yeah, it was in the 90s. Yeah, so it was basically 98, 99. Cami was offering a bunch of layoffs, and I had the choice. I could get laid off, go on EI, get paid 80% of my wage, and get a call back when my seniority number popped back up.
Sure.
Or take 30 grand and never come back. So I took the 30K, paid off all my debts, got all my affairs in order, and went to Europe for a year backpacking.
Oh, wow.
So all over 29 countries, 17 countries in Europe in that year. Lived in Greece for a little while on an island. Did some, drove a Volkswagen van to pick tourists up from the port, washed scooters, rented Jeeps, that kind of stuff for 4 months in Greece, hung out in Italy for a bit, Amsterdam for a little while, just everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So get back to London, and I'm like, Ingersoll. And I'm like, what am I going to do? My dad's, well, I got an apartment up in London that, a friend of mine has. You can come up to London. So I get up to London, and that lasted like 4 weeks because I didn't know what I was going to do, right? Like, now what? I was an auto factory worker. Now I'm like, what am I doing? So I ended up moving back to Ingersoll, like after 4 weeks. And a friend of mine in Taiwan called and said, hey, why don't you come here and check it out? So I literally had like $200 left and a credit card from all of that money because I blew it traveling. Ticket to Taiwan. I didn't come home for 7 years. And basically, about 3 months in Taiwan, I ran out of money, and I walked into a school and said, hey, do you need an English teacher? They threw a textbook at me. He said, can you start now? And I became an English teacher on the spot, which I would continue to do there for 20 years.
Wow.
And
that's
then,
wild.
Yeah. So that's where I got a computer again. So I teach English and do Photoshop. And then I was doing party flyers for a lounge style club but they were friends of mine that owned it, and we were bringing DJs in from all around. It was like 3 DJ nights on the weekend, and I would do up a flyer. And this is where the stuff that I did with my dad, putting posters up on telephone poles with a staple gun, right? Because there was no social media.
Nope.
Even when I went to Taiwan, like Facebook didn't come in until probably 10 years after I'd been there.
Sure.
So I'd go out and hand out flyers, go to different bars, so that was the promoting. And then we started the band there. I told you, put the makeup on, and we were, we'd go out, and we were going out and getting pictures taken with different people and stopping at various monuments and, just self-promotion, right? All the stuff that I had learned. But I just got tired of teaching, right? And in the back of my head, I knew that I always wanted to, my dad told me not to come home. He was like, Jay, your dream's done. Just stay in Taiwan. There's nothing for you here. Like, cause he didn't understand what I did. He was always so busy with his own thing.
Sure.
So he basically told me, don't come back. And that made me angry. And I don't know if that's why he did it, so that I would fight to get back. And I decided that he was getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. I had 3 dogs. I had guitar amps, studio equipment. I packed it all up in a shipping container and my 3 dogs, and spent $20K and came back and landed back in Ingersoll. Now the whole process, reverse culture shock.
Oh, yeah.
I was having a hard time going to the supermarket, that kind of stuff, right? Because I didn't know how to buy stuff anymore, and the money and everything. I still get freaked out sometimes. I can only shop certain places where I'm comfortable and I know what I'm getting myself into. Like, it's weird. I got to, and that's how, and it was at the KISS convention that Peter signed that I met a guy named Greg Campbell, who runs a company called Merch in Motion. And we got talking about T-shirts and stuff, right? And I did some T-shirts while I was in Taiwan. I was always trying something, right? And we didn't talk for a year after the convention. And all of a sudden he popped, oh, yeah, you do shirts. You want to design for the Trues? And I was like, who? I didn't know who the Trues were, right? Because I've been in Taiwan.
Right.
So
That makes
I
sense.
submitted a couple designs, they weren't so good. And then all of a sudden something clicked and they took like 6 of my designs or 5 of my designs. And I wound up designing the True stuff. And that's how it started. And then it went to like Lee Aaron, and then I was doing stuff. And then Helix. That was kind of how I got brought into the Helix world, right?
That's cool. And that's coming full circle too, right? Because your dad had worked with Helix probably back in the day, right?
Actually, he didn't. But my dad got me backstage to a Helix show.
Okay.
And I think that was the first time he ever caught me smoking a joint. Because I was standing and we were at the Helix show, and I remember and looking over my shoulder, and there's my dad standing there. And now it's legal, but at the time I was still probably only 14.
Sure.
Right? But yeah, it just and I had met Helix and went backstage, had all their autographs and stuff. So now all of a sudden, to be all these years later, to be like one of the main acts that I work with all the time. I speak to Brian. We talk like once or twice a week, maybe sometimes every day.
And what kind of stuff are you doing with them?
Well, like stuff like this. I designed the 50th anniversary graphics for all of their stuff. When Brian, so they headlined my show. They headlined my show in Ingersoll last year with Sarah Smith and a band called One Way Streets. I went and, basically what I did was I took DJ video loops, the flashing lights and all that stuff. And then I would, did I knock that? Yeah, there we go. I would take video DJ loops, and then I'd take their old videos and I'd overlay the videos so that you could see the old video in behind. And then I gave Helix their video presence now, because Brian always wanted to take Helix to the next level. And I'll tell you what, like, the show they put on in Ingersoll with those video graphics, and I'd never seen Helix put that much energy into a show. Maybe not, and now they use it all. So right now they're on their way out to Shake the Lake. I think it's in Regina. So literally, Brian will send me the set list now, and I go through all the videos that I have, and I set it all up, and then I get it in a folder, and I send it out. And then, obviously, because, it's expensive to take us all on the road, so he just shows up with a folder with all the songs in an order, and I've got a video now created for every Helix song that they do while they play.
That's cool.
Right? So, basically that kind of stuff, right?
That's awesome.
Obviously, we worked on the documentary. I don't know if there's a shirt. It says The Golden Age Canadian Bar Circuit by Brian Vollmer and Jay Panaseiko, right? Like, I'm actually on a shirt with them, too.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, I mean, and he, as much as I learned from my dad, I think it was in my DNA, it's Brian that's coached me in the music business.
Oh, yeah?
It's him that's...
How long have you guys known each other now, then?
6-7 years now.
Okay.
Like, close, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, the other day we talked to him. We were talking about band. Well, you know all this stuff, band riders and this and that.
Did he know your dad?
Huh?
Did Brian know your dad?
Brian actually met my dad quite a few times. Yeah,
Okay.
we met, like, not on a super big level, but I've got a picture at Norma Jean's, me, Brian, and my dad. But then it was just, this is Jay's dad, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they ever sat down and had like a long conversation.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So weird.
So
right?
you guys have been doing stuff now for how long? Like 6 years, you think?
Yeah, 6-7 years. Yeah. Right now, Brian's working on an album called Scrap Metal, and it's going to be some older songs that haven't been released yet. He's actually working with Aaron Murray right now, right? So they're actually recording it right now. Sean Kelly's been coming down, which, like, this is Sean Kelly, played Deli Furtado, plays for Lee Aaron, was in Helix for a while. He messaged me and says, Jay, I need an 80s rock CD cover. And I'm like, you called the right guy, man, right? And this is what we ended up with, right? It's called Mixtape Volume 1.
That's awesome.
And so it just... So anyways, I'm actually working on the cover. He called me the other day and I said, Brian, I need 2 weeks till my show's over. And then I can work on your art, right?
And what's your and let's talk about that. What's your show all about? Why did you start this show?
Well, the show was there was nothing going on in Ingersoll. And probably in 94, I had thought about throwing a music festival. And it just never happened, right? And then all the traveling, all the stuff. And I was like, you know what? And Brian and I'm like, hey Brian, why don't you come play the Ingersoll Arena? Ingersoll needs a new arena, and we're trying to get some funding for it. So I was
Right.
going to put him in the old barn, and I was going to be like, out with the old, in with the new, right? Helix, let's blow this barn up so that we can get the new arena. And when I took the idea to the mayor, Brian Petrie, who's I love him to death. We get along really good. He's been a big supporter of it. He's like, hey, well, let's not do it in the arena. Let's put it outside in the park for free. Right. So I was okay.
that's
So
cool.
how are we going to do this? Well, we got to get some sponsorship. So I went out on a campaign to get some money. And here I am walking into businesses, with Brian and the mayor. And people are recognizing me from high school because there's people that I went to high school with now that are our age and they're running the things. They're like, yeah, Jay, I'll give you some money. Right? Yeah, Jay, we got you, because they all knew my dad and so they just knew it was going to get done. So we take it to town council. Town council votes yes. And I get home from the council meeting, and I turn on the computer, and one of the council members said, hey, Jay's bringing Helix to Ingersoll for free. In 5 weeks, I didn't have $1 raised. And so into panic mode, and I had Brian. We had Helix burgers. We had tequila margaritas based on everybody. All the restaurants in town had Helix song based promos. We went to there's a place in London called in Ingersoll called the Fusion Center.
Yep.
And it's basically like a Y, like for kids, they pay $5 a year and they go hang out. But they had a green screen TV studio in there. They had all kinds of Macs. They have a full on recording studio in there.
I built that studio.
Did you build that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. So you know it.
Yeah.
So I used there to shoot all the promo videos for the concert, right? So and the kids there shot it.
Nice.
So Brian and Daryl Gray, they were coming into town, and we were filming stuff there. And they all of a sudden Ingersoll became Helixville for like 3 months. I mean, everything was Helix, right? And then obviously Sarah Smith from London, who I met over COVID because in Taiwan I had been live streaming even using OBS for about 6 years. But I didn't know what to do with it because there was no need for it, right? But I knew how to get studio quality audio coming out because and when COVID hit, all these musicians, they were sitting in front of the mic playing, and you get that warbly sound because it just wasn't coming, it wasn't the dynamics. That's not how you do it. So I met Sarah Smith teaching her how to get a sound card and to plug her guitar and a DI and all of that, right? And Sarah and I became really good friends. She would come on my podcast when I was doing it over COVID. But COVID, I was way more busy sometimes than I am now because I knew how to live stream. And there was such a huge market for it.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So Mario and I, we felt like we were keeping music alive through COVID, right? It was
awesome.
It was cool. So yeah, that's how it happened. And all of a sudden, Helix, and then the band that's on here is a band called One Way Streets. They're out of Ingersoll. Wow, they just released a new tune called Rat. I think they hit like 20,000 streams in 5 days.
Oh wow,
on Spotify. Like they're going places. They're really good.
Sweet.
So last year, the show, where is it? I mean, last year the show was such a success that I won the Economic Development Award for Ingersoll.
Yeah, it's there. I think it's underneath.
Oh yeah. It's wow. I didn't bring everything. This is a letter actually from Doug Ford.
Oh, that's the Doug Ford one.
Ernie Hardiman, right? I won the the Chamber of Commerce President's Award for the show. I mean, basically we Ingersoll had just never witnessed the thing because when you walk around the corner and there's a Rock the Park size stage there with the banners and everything in a park that most people are just used to going to play with their kids, right? So we're getting ready to do it again on Saturday.
Nice.
I got Sass Jordan coming this time, so it's going to be crazy.
And our buddy Charlie's going.
And Charlie is going. Charlie, oh my God. Like that. When I saw him, when his band Legal Kill, I believe it was at the time, they played High Wire by Badlands at the Battle of the Bands. And I don't know if I was in Taiwan and my mom sent me the video of it anyways, I would meet Charlie at my dad's induction. Charlie would be there. And I remember saying, like, dude, you're going to be a rock star. You are going to be a star. Like, there's no other job for you. Like, I can't picture you doing
No,
anything else
you're right.
but being a rock and roll star.
Yeah, you're right.
And I know he worked so hard at it, and
Yep.
he's been going, and I think it's finally happening for him. So, like I said, when I booked him for my show, it was because I told him, I think I said, I want to work with you one day, and now it's happening. And literally within weeks of me booking him, all these big shows are coming out. The Foreigner, it's insane.
He's you talked early on about having the fire, right? Having that drive and that want to he's got that right now.
Oh yeah, exactly.
He's got that going on, and he's working real hard at it.
Yeah,
like the behind the scenes of him, because I talk to him once in a while, and I follow him on socials pretty vividly, and you can see how bad he wants it. And that was when I used to speak at conferences. I used to go to music conferences back in the kind of the mid 2000s, and I would speak at conferences and stuff. I'd be on like panel discussions and whatnot. And there would be, young people who would, ask those kind of like stereotypical questions like, how do I get how do I get my career from here to here, And I would say, you gotta want it. You gotta really want it, and you gotta build a team.
I can tell you right now that before I came here, I stopped to get my coconut water.
Of course.
And I was talking, so there's a kid out of Ingersoll. His name's Alex Pello Mason. Amazing guitar, acoustic guitar player, probably a little more country vibe. I'm sure he does other stuff, but he was talking to me about stuff because he just met me. Now he's finding out about who I am and what I do, right? So he asked me, and I said, dude, there is no halfway. You want this?
No.
You're 100% in.
Yeah.
You might be broke.
Yeah.
But you gotta do it, right? Like, so he was asking me, and I was like, and he said, well, I'm just trying to, save up. So I said, save up some money, give yourself a timeline of how long you can stretch it out, and you gotta go all in. There is no weekend jammer. There is no open mic jam.
No.
There's 100% you have to commit.
Yep.
Right? You got to commit
100%.
And you got to do everything, like eat, sleep, breathe your career. Because if you let it stall for a second, you lose valuable time.
100%. Someone else is going to bypass you.
Right.
Yep. That's it.
So, yeah, because there's
You're
20 other guys.
You're a minnow in an ocean, my friend.
Yep, exactly.
It literally is now. Because now, unlike back then, a lot of it was relationships. But now with social media, man, there's and we won't even get into the whole AI thing. I mean, my dad just discovered that,
it's become a friend of mine, but it's a useful tool if you know how to use it.
Hey, there
right?
you go.
Like it's not going to replace you.
No. I like that you call it a tool because the last episode I just did with Mitch Seekings. We talked about it, and that's what I said. I said it's a tool. It's a tool, and if you use it, the right way, then it's great. But the minute that people think that it can make a career, it's not going to work.
And I have obviously because everybody's ChatGPT works based on how you train it, right? Like, so when I ask it to spit stuff out for me, it says a lot of the things the way I would say it. You know what I mean? Like it comes out. So I use it and I know how to talk to it. Like it's weird. Like, it sounds weird, but the computer, it is a tool. And that's how I use it. I need it like this. And can we make it, and then can you take this word out and can we add this? And just stuff like that. So I don't think I'll ever be replaced by AI, but yeah, it is a very useful tool.
Yep.
And I think it does wonders.
Yeah, it can. As long as people still learn whatever it is that they're like your dad said, you need some kind of identity. You need some kind of thing that,
It was the gimmick.
the gimmick.
guess.
You got to have the gimmick, and and then the AI can be a tool in a toolbox, but you do have to have some talent too. There has to be something there that people grab onto, right?
I mean, like going back to Charlie today on the radio, because I think they're interviewing him tomorrow morning, Hard FM and Classic Rock.
Nice.
I got him set up with 2 interviews, and I'm getting his track Reckless Lovers on both stations. And I know Classic Rock is dying to get it in rotation, right?
That's cool.
And I told Charlie that because I don't know whether it's been on any stations yet. So this could possibly be. I mean, maybe it has. I'm not sure.
Taking a chapter out of your dad's book.
I'm trying, man. Yeah, I'm trying. But they asked me, and I said, man, this kid sings like Bryan Adams and Bon Jovi. This is who he reminds me of. Yeah. And he plays guitar like Jakey Lee and Randy Rhoads. You know what I mean? Like he's got the look. I mean, absolutely. He's got the look, and 90% of the videos I see, he's playing with his shirt off. I mean, he's going to be like a heartthrob. You know what I mean? Like the chicks are going to freak out over him.
Yep.
For sure. Yep. So
don't let it go to your head, Charlie.
Yeah. He's got the whole package, right? Just full on. He's definitely a marketable artist. Even the video that he just did is fantastic, right? Yep. The way that they filmed it, the way they've been releasing the stuff. I mean, they've been really tight-lipped about some of the stuff and just kind of letting it out. Even when I try to talk to Charlie, he's like, you can't call my manager, right? But he'll talk to me about personal stuff or other stuff. But when it's about,
yeah. No, and I get that. And there's a way to do it, and he's doing it the right way, and that's great. And I think that he wants, like I said, he wants it bad enough that he's going all in, and he's doing the hard work, behind the scenes that nobody sees, and he's got a good team. And it's going to happen for him in whatever capacity it does. It will, because he's putting the work in, and I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for anybody like that wants to put the work in. And
yeah, well, you get, that's what I said to the other kid that we were talking about. I said, you get out what you put in. Yeah. You only go 50% in. You might get lucky, like a Justin Bieber sitting on the side of the road playing the drum set, and someone uploads it to YouTube and the right person stumbles upon it. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but how many Justin Biebers are there?
Well, that's just it, right? No, that's just it. And times, even since Justin Bieber was found, I mean, times have changed. Things have changed even since then.
Oh yeah, I think it's constantly evolving, right? And,
absolutely.
And you don't even know, like even with my festival, it's like, okay, well, I'm uploading to Facebook, I'm doing Instagram, I'm doing TikTok, oddly, but as a one-man team, it's so hard to get it to all these platforms. Where Charlie has a Facebook page that they don't even know how to access, and he's got like 28 followers. But his Instagram page is pretty much where he lives and breathes, right? Because that's his demographic.
Yes.
Facebook's probably, my demographic, right? I guess probably 45 to 65 is probably where Facebook would be.
Yeah, it is. And it's a great place, I think, for like the older people out there to connect with family and stuff, and share photos and see what their high school friends are doing.
That's what it started for me. I was in Taiwan, and my buddy, hey, you heard of Facebook? I'm like, what the hell is that? Facebook. Yeah. So and then it actually became a tool to keep in contact with people back here. Yeah. But then teaching, I used it to interact with my students. Like at one time I had 5,000 followers on Facebook. They were all my students, right? I cleaned it up when I came back home, but I would wish them happy birthday every day. I tried to learn their names, tried to learn their face. And then when I got to school, if I saw them in the hall, they'd be like, oh, how'd you know it was my birthday? I guess in life, to me, music, life, it's all about relationships, connections, getting behind each other, pushing each other, making each other grow instead of trying to push each other down, right? And that's kind of where my music festival comes from. I've got the whole community behind me. I got 89 sponsors. I didn't even know there was 89 businesses in there. So you know what I mean? Like
I didn't either.
Yeah, like it's incredible, and it warms my heart that they let me throw the biggest party of the year, right?
Yeah, well, and the fact that you got to go canvassing for sponsorship with the mayor, that says a lot about him.
Yeah,
and how hands on he got with you on that.
Oh, he was. That's great. And there was times where we were stalling on paperwork, stalling on this, and I'd go in and I'd just show up at his office, just walk in, hey, how you? Hey, I'd sit down. I'm like, is this gonna happen? We were waiting for council to make their decision and get it to council and all that. Well, in the prelims, in the first one. And he'd be like, Jay, this is going to happen, man. We're going to rock. This is going to happen. When the mayor's telling you that the town's going to rock, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you've created some excitement there, right? And I mean, sometimes, for some of these smaller towns, you need that, right?
We're pushing 860,000 views on my Facebook page in the past 45 days.
Wow.
That's where we're at. I'm trying to get to 1 million. And I'm going to do it. I still got 4 days to go.
There you go.
And then obviously I'll have all the thank you sponsors and all that. So I know I'm going to break 1 million. There's no question about it.
That's
but
awesome.
I'd love to hit 1 million so that I can announce it on the night of the show.
Yeah.
Like, what's 1 million views? I don't even know. Like, because nobody really knows. Is a view like, or did they actually pause on the picture? Like, was it just a scroll? But I've been doing social media now for 6 years and I've never seen numbers this high.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, you're doing something right, man. And I mean, like I say, when you're doing something positive like that for the community like that, especially a smaller community that doesn't get that kind of love, I mean, it means a lot to everybody.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
brings everybody together.
Yeah, the T-shirts are for sale now at a couple businesses in town.
Okay,
so hey, if you're gonna stop in, you might buy something else, right?
Yeah,
all the restaurants are doing specials. I'm walking downtown and seeing people wearing the shirt. The event hasn't even happened yet. Right. I think my favorite one this year is on the night of the show. There's going to be a rare occurrence that happens every 33 months called the Black Moon. So I added our logo on the moon and called it the Good for the Soul Moon. Right. So for that one night, I'm stealing the moon.
That's awesome.
So
cool.
And people will remember. I think, I'm creating an experience that, I think people will remember for a lifetime. And then, to me, that's what it's all about.
So aside from the festival and aside from obviously the work that you're doing with Brian, what's coming up down the line for you? What's coming up in the future? Anything?
Well, the new Helix album, I just finished. So there's an interview on Classic Rock that just aired yesterday with Sass Jordan. Mm-hmm. She talks about a project called Something Unto Nothing. Originally it was called Sun, S-U-S-U-N, Something Unto Nothing. It's an album she did 12 years ago with Brian Tishy, who plays drums for Gene Simmons now.
Oh, wow.
But he played guitar on this album. And it's a straight-ahead rock album that's kind of how Sass became my headliner this year, because I was working on the artwork for this release, and it's coming out in September. So we just sent the artwork off to get printed. It's a awesome packaging. It's very cool. Let me see. The honeymoon suite here is very similar to it. So I didn't. I mean, it's the same design as the original one, but this was like a baby blue. And I changed it. I changed the color scheme. And they didn't have any of the original artwork, so I had to scan a CD and then pull the pieces off and recreate it. But this comes with the CD that has bonus songs on it and stuff. And this was like custom packaging that nobody else has. That the guy that I work with, Greg Campbell, he came up with this idea, right? So, you get the CD, you get the bonus songs, because you can only fit so many on the vinyl. And then, we're doing all colored vinyl. It's just like an orange marble. So it was like a whole package.
love colored vinyl. I when I was a DJ back in the day, I had a pile of records that were a bunch of records that were on colored vinyl. Not a ton, but I had some, and they were cool looking.
So yeah, Sass talked about the project coming out, and it's going to come out. So I just finished that artwork, which was funny because Kate, when she introduced, she's like, "Yeah, well, my buddy Jay's throwing the show," but I don't know if Sass put 2 and 2 together that I'm also the same person that was doing the artwork on the release that she was just talking about. So basically that, the Helix album, whatever the record company throws at me next. Yeah. Like sure. I'll be doing, basically I'll run the social media pages for the record.
Do you do stuff for independent people too? Like if someone were to get a hold of you, and
for
like,
sure,
hey man,
call me up.
I want to do some merch. I want to do an album cover, whatever.
Yep, I do. Yeah, and I've done hats, shirts. I mean, I've done shirts for like mechanics. Like garages around town.
Oh, that's cool.
In town, I run Tempsford Pizza's website. The Joker's Crown website, Miss Ingersoll website.
Oh, I was gonna touch on that. So you do a lot. You like web development and maintenance.
Yeah, web development, maintenance. I run my own hosting company, so I host about 30 sites.
Cool.
Yeah, like I said, I do a little bit of everything, which I like because, like probably when I get home tonight, I gotta go home and edit video because I do a sponsor graphic rotate on the video screen. Plus, I also offer advertising for the screen, so it just plays on a loop. I have the in memory to my dad, so it's on the video screen on the changeovers.
Nice,
right? So I got to go home and finalize that video tonight, and then I can get it to the production crew for the night of the show. So yeah, 1 week I'm editing video, 1 week I'm doing a website. I'm doing a lot of work with Tom Tremuth. I don't know if you know him, but he'd be a good person. So he runs a podcast, audio, talk music podcast, but he produced the first 3 Helix albums.
Okay.
Rock You, all that. Or
Yeah.
the bigger, the Rock You album, not the early Helix, not white lace, black leather. The stuff that we know as Helix.
Sure.
He did Honeymoon Suite. He did this album, Clifton Hill, with Honeymoon Suite.
Okay.
He went to Fanshawe. Graduate of Fanshawe.
There you go.
So I run his social media. So like yesterday, I had to do some paid advertising for his last podcast with the guy from Guar, Lothar the Berserker. Cool. So he just had him on.
That's cool.
He's had some pretty big guests on anyway. So, but it's a spoken podcast. So basically, he hires me to create the graphics and put the post out and then boost it and detailed targeting, because obviously, you don't want someone who's into the mini pop seeing a post on Guar, right? So
sure.
You got to go in and you got to choose the targeting and the age group and the demographic and the cities you want to target. So basically, about once a month.
Where is he based?
Out of Toronto.
Okay.
He's out of Toronto.
Nice.
So I met him through Helix, and so he hires me. Yeah, so anybody can hire me. I work with anybody.
Yeah,
for
cool.
Sure. And
awesome.
and I like when someone comes to me with a project that I believe in, like Charlie. He thanked me for what I'm doing, like pushing him. I believe that kid's gonna make it, right? So obviously, the way that I work, my rates, how it goes, it's about how involved I want to be in the project, and I always work better on projects that I'm into. You know what I mean? That I've had to do some pretty dry stuff too. That like. Did some stuff for 3M, the video shooting part, and that was cool, but the editing was a little bit dry.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So,
yeah, I mean, we always, all of us have, certain things that we're more passionate about, right?
Yeah.
I ran a music conference in Toronto for 10 years that I was very passionate about. And people always saw what we did there, and they're like, "Oh, you must have made so much money." I'm like, actually, I lost $250,000.
Yeah.
And it was never about the money for me. It was always about, for me at the time, it was about connection. It was about people. I was meeting a lot of really great people through friends of mine in the industry. And I was inviting them all to come sit on panels and at my show and inspire other people and connect with other people. Nice. I mean, I think a lot of the people that I brought for that show, shout out to Stuart Knight from Lowdown Records in the UK. I mean, I think they actually benefited significantly more than I did off the relationships and the connections they made while they were here.
The networking.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I'm totally cool with it. Like, I think that's incredible that I was able to help make those kind of things happen for people.
I told the kid that I was talking earlier, it all goes back. Like, it's crazy that we're saying a lot of the same things. I told him straight up, I said, I don't make a lot of money. I get to do a lot of cool shit, if I can say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's not. I don't do a lot of this. I've done projects that I probably should have made $10,000 on and got paid $500 prepaid Visa card, right? Because what else was I doing?
Well, you're catering for the most part to the music business, my friend. So as we all know,
there's no money.
It's not. We're not doing it necessarily for the money. That's for sure.
No, that's for sure.
But that's cool, man. Well, congrats with the festival and with everything going on this weekend. That's amazing. And you come from a dad that's a legend, obviously, as you know, and now you're carving your own path, man.
Yeah, and I hope, hey, Dad, hope I make you proud.
Yeah. I think you do, man, and I think you will. And if there's anything I can do to help, I'd love to help. And
I had a blast coming on the show. Like when you called, I was because literally the last time we talked, you were messaging me about getting Brian on the show.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now I say, hey, I want you on the show. And I said, well, wow, okay, this is great, right? I've been looking forward to this all week. This has been an awesome chat. I mean, like I said, I bet you we could probably talk for the next week.
Yeah, well, we didn't even touch literally.
No, we didn't look at any of the
eighth of the folders, but
maybe episode 2.
There you go, episode 2. Definitely, I'll have you on for sure, man.
Perfect.
Dude, thanks so much for coming on, man. I really
you, Ryan.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Too.
Absolutely. Okay, everybody, Ryan here from Music City Live. Thanks so much for watching the show. From Jay and me, take it easy, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for watching Music City Live. If you liked this episode, like the video. And for more clips and episodes, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to join the conversation by commenting below and visit us at musiccityliveshow.com.